If you are at a place in your life where you feel stuck, you feel confused, you feel angry, you feel depressed, you feel anxious, you feel sad, you feel lost, I've been there, very much so. And this is a story about how I started there and then within a year transformed my life into everything that I had always wanted it to be. Hi, my name is Sarah and welcome. Welcome to Mirrors. This is a video series / podcast series. We're basically learning to love ourselves. We're learning about ourselves and we're learning to build a life that we love. That's kind of just like my mission in life at this point. It's like, who am I? Can I love myself knowing now who I am? And can I make a life that I love, you know? I just turned 26, June 6th, Gemini babies, where are you at? I turned 26 and I feel like it was a moment in my life where I was like, what am I doing? You know, like I need to do things that I love and I need to really just like build a life that I love. So here I am. I'm doing it with you, right alongside you. For anyone who's watching this on YouTube and not just listening to this is a moment for my ADD girlies and also just for people who like watching someone do something while they talk. I have my makeup here. I'm going to be doing my makeup while we talk and chit chat. It gives you something to look at. It gives me something to do. If you hear the little squishy squashing of makeup, I don't know if that's going to be annoying. You know, we'll troubleshoot that later if that's an issue, but it should be fine. So today, I just kind of wanted to like start us off with a banger, right? Just like really I'm just going to dump my makeup out. Or that's not aesthetically pleasing in any way. I'm not going to do that. It has been so long since I've made any kind of video. I'm a little rusty. I'm not going to lie to you, but we are persevering, okay? We are pushing through the rust in the crust. Just kind of wanted, like I said, to start us off with a banger and just really get into like what this all means to me and why I'm here and what even started all this. And all of that really starts with my journey with like spirituality and the law of attraction and self-help and all of that. So I am just gonna go through my entire journey, start to finish, how I got here in the world of like spirituality and law of attraction and how I really like took control of my life and changed my life and made my life something I actually wanted it to be. And I wasn't just like autopiloting it all the way. 'Cause I feel like so many of us just kind of exist in autopilot. And I feel like that's kind of how the world is set up, so that we just kind of exist in autopilot and we do like what we feel like we're supposed to do. And we don't really listen to our intuition and we don't listen to our heart and we don't listen to our gut and we're not following the call of what we're supposed to do in life because frankly we're just exhausted. Okay, I'm not going to get into capitalism. I'm not going to get into capitalism however many seconds, 101 seconds into this. I'm not doing that. But just know that I could. Anywho, the point of all of that, of me saying all of that is that I'm choosing not to live a life in autopilot, and it is a choice that you kind of have to make an intentional life. And that is sort of where we all began. So we're gonna bring us back. We're gonna bring it all back to I was a senior in college, and this was a very like dark time in my life. I'm not gonna lie to you. Senior in college, Sarah, she was anxious, she was depressed, she was unhappy, she was confused, she was lost, she was angry. I don't know if I said that already, but girlie was angry. And I'm not really an angry person. I am definitely a very sensitive person, always have been. And I used to be really ashamed of that. I'm not anymore, but it is a part of me, you know, being sensitive, having a lot of feelings, being very comfortable with my feelings, and just like expressing them openly is something that has blossomed as I've become an adult. So when I was like senior in college, I definitely had all of these feelings in there, but I wasn't really letting them out. I wasn't really understanding them. I was just turning them into anger. Set the scene. Like I said, I'm a senior in college. I'm going to school for nursing. I don't really want to be a nurse. Like, I think I like nursing enough to do it. Also, I know it's a practical career. I know it's something my parents would be happy with. So I stick with it. And I'm in a relationship at this point. I had been in a relationship for a long time. I don't even know how long at this point. But I was realizing and finding out that I was being cheated on. And not just being cheated on, I was also being taken advantage of. It was an abusive relationship in a multitude of ways. So that was rough. We also lived together, me and this ex. And I also lived with 3 of my ex-friends. And I know what you're thinking, like, common denominator here. You're living with all of your exes. Maybe you is the problem. We're all the problem. Okay, nobody's perfect. Everyone plays parts in other people's stories. The people who I may feel as villains in my story may see me as their villains, but I don't view any of these people as villains. I actually don't view anyone as villains ever. So I don't know why I just said any of that, because I just think everyone's here to like teach us lessons and help us to grow, and sometimes that's painful. But you know, like when you're in college, you I feel like change so much and you're figuring out who you are, and so like you can't be expected to just stay friends with everyone constantly. Like that's just like very unreasonable. You know, you're gonna go through friendship breakups, and that like is totally fine. It just sucks when you live with them, you know. So yeah, I was living with my ex-friends and my ex-boyfriend, and I was just lost. I was like, what is happening? You know what I'm saying? I was also partying a lot because like college, and I was going through a bunch of health stuff too. So bad time to be Sarah Marie in my life. Not a great time. But I think what I ended up doing was like Googling or YouTubing how to be happy or something along those lines. Like how to change my life, how to be happy. Like those were the vibes. I was like, okay, I want to be a happy person. Because naturally I'm pretty optimistic, but I could feel myself suddenly not be. And also, like, to be completely transparent with you, there was a point in my life during this moment, or during this time period, where I genuinely was considering needing to, like, be hospitalized for my mental status. I was just, like, I felt like I was so far deep down under bricks of sadness, and I didn't know how to get out of it. I started therapy, so that was, like, a huge moment for me. When I was Googling how to be happy, when I was Googling how to change your life, I came across this girl on YouTube. Her name is Lior. I still watch her to this day. She's like my favorite creator of all time. And she had made a video about the law of attraction. And this was the first time I had ever heard about the law of attraction. I had no idea what that was. I was raised very Catholic. Like I was an altar girl, went to a Catholic school, Catholic. I knew religions and I knew other religions outside of my own, and I was very intrigued by other religions and like understanding other people's perspective on religion, but I had never heard of like spirituality or just like any kind of like belief of something bigger than yourself that didn't have to do with like an organized religion. So that was really interesting to me. The idea that like you actually had control over your own life and it wasn't just like dictated for you was also a new thought for me. Had never thought of that before. And so it overall just started to take me down like this rabbit hole of like self-development. And then I was seeing my therapist, and I was telling my therapist what I was going through. Shout out my therapist. I still go to the same therapist because, like, she's truly a real one. I love her. If you don't go to therapy, try it. Like, it might not be for you, but it also might literally save your life. Like, it low-key did mine. By the way, if you have any interest in whatever makeup products I'm using, I don't know if you would, but if you would, I will link them. I'll put them in the description. If you're watching on YouTube. So my amazing baby girl therapist, she... like I said, absolute real one. She told me, Sarah, you are like a butterfly. And when butterflies are going from caterpillar to butterfly, they go through this stage where they literally have to auto-digest themselves. They have to eat themselves. They turn completely into goop. They're just like this little, just like nasty goop. And then that's how they can eventually turn into a beautiful butterfly. And I had like heard this metaphor, but for some reason, the way she said it, absolutely, why was that so Wisconsin? You can take the girl out, but you can't, you can fully take the Wisconsin out of me. It's out. Exorcism me of Wisconsin. Anyways, I'm sorry. What was I saying? Oh, why am I, the girl who can never remember what she's saying, making a podcast? I remember my therapist. Okay. She's like, yeah, so you're goop right now. You're just in your goop stage. And I was like, okay, I'm goop. So I leave my therapist's office. I just continue going out into the world. And suddenly I'm seeing butterflies everywhere. There's suddenly a butterfly mural painted all over a building on campus where I was at school. Suddenly I'm just seeing like actual butterflies out and about. And at this point, I think it was probably like May. Like it was like very early for a butterfly sighting. But like I was just seeing little butterfly things everywhere. And I was like, oh, I really want a butterfly tattoo. Like I just started really identifying with butterflies. And I went back to my therapist and I was like, ever since you told me about butterflies and that I was a butterfly, I see butterflies everywhere. And she's like, Sarah, that's the universe. And I was like, who dat? Who's the universe? I never heard of her. Like, where is she? Why is she new to me? I personally use God and the universe kind of interchangeably. Like, because, I don't need to get into what I view God is this early on in things, but basically, I use them interchangeably. We'll just, for ease of understanding, I use them interchangeably. This, again, just sort of like catapulted me in further to this sort of like, I guess you'd call it a spiritual awakening. That's what all of my like yogi friends in Miami would call it. This was when I woke up. This was when I became spiritually aligned, But no, truly. Like actually though. So this genuinely just kind of came a spiritual awakening. Now, things definitely did not become like easy and amazing right away, for sure. I ended up staying in that relationship. That was so bad for me. But if you've ever been in an abusive relationship, if you've ever been in a very toxic relationship, I think you'd know that it is not as straightforward as it seems once you're out of it. And getting out of it seems a lot easier once you're out of it than when you're in it. It also seems a lot easier if you have never been in a abusive relationship. It's very hard to kind of understand why people stick around or what leads to that. So while I judge myself and while you may judge me, we should all have grace for anyone who has been in any kind of tumultuous and or abusive and or really toxic relationship, because you don't understand it until you're in it, kind of thing. Things definitely did not just suddenly get easy out of suddenly I believe in something larger than myself. Suddenly I believe in the law of attraction and I'm putting in the work and suddenly everything's amazing. Like it was not like that. Also, this blush looks insane. Like it always does. Don't worry. It comes together, I promise. I started implementing little parts of like law of attraction techniques. Once I graduated, I moved back in with my parents and I was doing gratitude every morning and like lists of things that I was grateful for every single morning. I would do affirmations every morning. I would go on like a big walk, like a 3-mile walk, and then I would do some yoga. And then I would lay on my yoga mat and I would envision what my dream life looked like. And at this point, what I was trying to manifest, what I like viewed as my dream life, was living in Miami, being in a healthy relationship that was not toxic or harmful, and having my dream job, which at the time was a labor and delivery nurse. This is what I would envision every single morning on my yoga mat. I definitely got like a lot of pushback from like friends and family when it came to moving to Miami. I had a job perfectly lined up for me to work at in Milwaukee, which is where I went to school, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I had a job perfectly lined up. It did not make sense that I did not take that job. Like, it was not practical. But I didn't, because I wanted to move to Miami and I wanted to make that my life. And I was gonna do it. Like, I was determined. And truly, when I think back, like, it was the perfect little manifestation routine to get myself in this calm, zen, happy place with the walk and the yoga, and then to visualize what I wanted my life to be. Like, that is just such a beautiful routine. And me even thinking back on this right now, I'm like, I need to do that again. Like, that needs to be something I do again, because it felt so good and it worked. Fast forward, so I graduated in May, and then that's backwards. June, July, August, September, October. I moved in 5 months. I moved to Miami. I had like $2,000 and no job. and very small of a plan, very little of a plan. I got there, and keep in mind, like I said, I had $2,000. Do you know how much my rent was? $1,900. That's $100 to spare. But I got there, and I was determined to make it work. I started bartending, was bartending in Miami. Bartending in Miami it is no small feat, okay? You will just be, like, I was there till like 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m. every night. They didn't even let me be a bartender, like, right away, because they were like, low-key, you're not that good, which low-key I wasn't that great. Like, I get where they're coming from. And so I was, like, cocktail waitressing / bartending. I was just trying to make ends meet. But I knew that it was all going to work out in my heart. I was like, this is where I'm meant to be, and I'm going to continue doing these law of attraction techniques that I found on YouTube, and I'm going to make this it, right? I'm Zooming my therapist back at home. I am not going to tell the story of how I got my literal dream job. It was at the hospital that before I moved, I like watched videos of this hospital. I like pictured myself working at this hospital. I wanted to work at this hospital so much. I would like script, I'm working at this specific hospital as a labor and delivery nurse. The way I got this job was the most roundabout, crazy, synchronistic, the universe literally aligning for me to get the job. It is what made me believe, like, okay, this is freaking real. Like, God is real. The universe is real. Spirit, like, the law of attraction is real. I can manifest my life. Like, I do have control over my life. Getting this job absolutely was that for me, because the way it happened was just so uncannily bizarre. I feel like it needs its own dedicated episode. I don't feel like I can just spill it in here. So I ended up getting my dream job. Everything started to work out, right? I'm in my dream city like I had always envisioned and manifested. I have my dream job working in labor and delivery at my dream hospital. All should be amazing, right? I am still so unhappy. I'm still unhappy. I'm still anxious. I'm still angry. I don't know what's wrong with me. I cannot figure it out. And this was like almost a darker period than when I was just trying to hustle and get there, because I felt like something was wrong with me. Why do I have everything that I ever wanted or ever thought that I wanted? And why am I so unhappy? Like, this is nothing is turning out how I thought it would. Like, everything is in theory going how I wanted it to, but nothing feels like I thought it would. Because I was, yes, great at manifesting, but I wasn't seeing the bigger picture. I was not seeing the bigger picture. There was so much bigger of a picture that I was just completely missing. And that was just like the whole like deeper side of all of it, the spiritual side of all of it, the bigger meaning into all of it. So then in that relationship that I was mentioning before, the very unhealthy one, we ended up breaking up. And at the time, I mean, it absolutely like threw me for a loop. Like, I was not expecting us to break up. I thought that, I was manifesting that I was going to be in a healthy, loving relationship, which meant that we were going to be in a healthy, loving relationship. Like, it was all going to work out. I didn't think that we would end up breaking up. Like, fast forward, me looking back on life now, that could never have been a healthy, loving relationship. There was no way it ever could have been. And I now am in an amazing, healthy, loving, beautiful, perfect relationship that I'm so grateful for, because I'm with a person that I can have that with. But I had to clear out the relationship and the person that I couldn't have that with in order to make space for the relationship and the person that I could have that with. But so this breakup is really what like triggered me to go down an even deeper spiritual awakening, an even deeper reframing of my mindset, of my life, of everything, because I was just now able to see things differently. My whole life changed. I ended up moving into my first place by myself. I had so much extra time, so I was like going out and making new friends. I was really working on myself, and I got really into yoga. I started doing yoga all the time. It did help that I had a crush on my yoga teacher, so I was like an avid student, and I went every week. Also, he was just such a good yoga teacher, genuinely, like, still to this day, the best yoga teacher I've ever had. I got really into yoga and I got really into breath work and meditation, which was totally new to me. And basically, it was like a spur of the moment thing. I saw this workshop that was like, it was like Learn to Love Yourself, Manifest Love workshop. And I was like, okay, I just went through this terrible breakup. I am now wondering if I've ever actually felt love, because I don't know if I have, like, besides from my mom and like, you know, whatever. Like, does love, like romantic love, actually exist for me in this lifetime? I don't know. I don't know if I've ever actually felt it. And so I really wanted to focus on manifesting it. So I took this workshop and I did breath work and meditation. And in the meditation, after the breath work, I just sobbed for like a good 20 minutes. And it woke something up in me, because for the first time in so long, I felt clear, I felt calm, I felt love, I felt like myself. And I don't think I had felt that in years. I'd just been so anxious, so wound up, so upset, so angry, that to finally feel clear of all of that, it was like, holy shit, what just happened? Like, what shift possibly just happened that I feel this amazing? And so I just followed it, and I kept doing meditation, and I kept doing breath work, and I kept doing yoga, and I kept doing my gratitude journals, and I kept scripting, and I kept doing all of the manifestation techniques that I had learned. But now I was combining it with spiritual things and deeper things that helped me to know and understand myself. I started journaling. I started doing like self-reflection journaling and really understanding like my past traumas and my triggers, and realizing like where I had gotten. Now this is all under the umbrella term of shadow work, which I didn't really realize at the time, but that is what shadow work is. Shadow work is putting a light on yourself to where you can see a shadow cast behind you of all of the things that you don't want to identify as, of all of the parts of yourself that you don't want to be a part of yourself. That's all shadow work is. And so that's what I was doing. And I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it until it was not at all intentional. It was just a routine, and it was just my life. And before I knew it, was like a whole entire new person. Like the way I looked at the world, the way I looked at other people, the way I looked at challenges, the way I looked at pain, the way I looked at suffering, the way I looked at God, the universe, other humans, Earth, all of it was completely different, because I now, oh my God, my eyebrow gel is crazy. I now was believing in something bigger than myself, and I was also believing in myself at the same time. Like, I think that is one of the most beautiful balances, is when you can still believe in a higher power, but also believe in yourself. Because so often I think we put all of the power into the higher power and none of the power into ourselves, and we feel so helpless. But when you can still recognize that there is so much more than yourself, when you can still feel that spiritual connection to the world and the universe around you, but you can also still believe in yourself, your own abilities, your own strengths, your own way of creating a life that you want and love, that is like when the magic absolutely happens, because everything just kind of shifts and aligns to how you want it to. And you become so good at manifesting, but you also just become so good at being happy and existing. It's now been 2 years. Like, life has not just been like so easy peasy beautiful, everything's working exactly how I wanted it to. That is not how it worked, where suddenly everything is just perfect. What changed was my ability to navigate those problems and my perspective. I now look at problems as blessings. And it doesn't mean in the moment I'm still not like, but I now have the tools and the knowledge to know how to take a deep breath, take a step back, recognize that everything is working for me, not to me, and I am able to turn whatever struggle I'm going through into my greatest blessing that then pushes me towards an even happier version of myself, or a more well-known version of myself, or just a better version of myself. There's definitely been chapters of life since this period of awakening and of deepening that have not been my favorite, but they're still so beautiful, and I look at them with happiness now because I recognize what they've taught me and how I've grown from them and what how they're all going to work together and play a part in the overall story of my life, a story that I actually have a huge role in writing. We can change our lives. We have the capability and the power to change our lives, to change our perspectives, to change our belief systems, to change the things that we don't love about life, and to learn about ourselves and figure out how we work and why we are the way we are and why we want what we want and what we actually want, and then how to get what we actually want. We have the power to do all of that. It's not just like handed to us and we have to deal with it. So that is really the story about how the law of attraction changed my life. It just shifted how I view everything, how I view myself, how I view others, how I view life. It also shifted how everything felt. It allowed me to achieve all those goals and dreams that I had always wanted. At the end of the day, though, like, there's no law of attraction technique. There is no manifestation technique that is going to fix everything in your life. What you have to really do is do inner work that actually just changes your perspective on the hardship and changes your perspective on the pain. And that's how it starts to feel differently. I am so excited for this video series and podcast. I love creating, and I have missed creating things so much. And so I have so many things that I'm really excited to talk about, and so many things that I'm really excited to like bring to the table in, this is actually a table, but also in a metaphorical sense as well. But if you have anything that you want my perspective on, or you want me to open up a conversation on, I would love to. Thank you so much for listening, for watching, for spending some time with me. If it's your first time seeing me, it was so nice meeting you, and I hope you have an amazing day, week, month, year, whatever it is, till the next time I see you, but I hope it's sooner than that. I will be creating episodes every single week, so make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you like listening and or watching to podcasts. And until next time, I will see you later. Bye.